Suitcases. Rain batters Corsica, a storm kills 6. Those are the headlines for tonight. I'm Handy Gui and this is TVS Nightline. New Zealand police are investigating the suspected murder of 2 children whose remains were found in suitcases bought at an online auction for an unclaimed locker last week.
Police have launched a homicide inquiry in Auckland after the remains were found by a family going through the contents of a storage locker they had purchased unseen and are not connected to the deaths. According to Detective Inspector Tofilau Famenuia Vaelua, the 2 children were of primary school age and had been dead for some time. He added that the suitcases had also been in storage for some time, without providing details.
Today's update will be extremely upsetting for the community to hear. So I can confirm we're dealing with the bodies of 2 young children. From the post-mortem examination, it would appear they were of primary school age. At this stage, I have no further information about their exact age, but we're working on it. Their bodies were concealed in 2 suitcases of similar size. These suitcases, together with a number of other unowned property, were purchased by the occupants of the Moncrief Ave address in an online auction. Early indications suggest these children may have been deceased for a number of years before being found last week. We also believe these suitcases have been in storage for a number of years. Formal identification procedures are still ongoing, which means police are not yet able to comment on the identities of the children. Once this is completed, our priority is to contact the next of kin. We want to reassure the community our investigation is continuing to ascertain the full circumstances around the deaths of these children. This includes establishing where, when, and how.
Meanwhile, details on how the children had died or whether there were any suspects was not immediately available or provided by the police.
The nature of this discovery provides some complexities to the investigation, especially given the time lapse between the time of death and their discovery. However, the investigation team are working very hard to hold accountable the person or persons responsible for the deaths of these children. As previously mentioned, the discovery of these children's remains occurred after the residents of the Moncrief Ave property brought unowned property back to their address from a storage facility. We reiterate that the occupants of that Moncrief Ave property are not connected to the deaths of the children. We will continue to provide further updates as our investigation allows, but as the community will appreciate, it's still very early stages of our investigation. We're still on a fact-finding mission, and we still have a lot of unanswered questions.
At least 6 people died and 20 others were injured after a violent and unexpected storm battered the French Mediterranean island of Corsica on Thursday, August 18th. Meteorologists predicted more bad weather to come, with heavy rain and winds peaking at 224 kilometers per hour.
According to a statement by regional authorities, 4 of the wounded have suffered serious injuries, while the dead include a 13-year-old girl killed by a falling tree and a 72-year-old woman crushed by a collapsed roof. Meanwhile, it is believed that the death toll could rise further as people are still missing and boats may have capsized at sea. Corsica was lashed by hail, heavy rains and winds that went up to 224 kilometers per hour, causing power cuts and significant damage in different parts of the island. Videos shared on social media showed metal chairs flying from rooftops and trees are being swayed brutally by the powerful gushes of wind. Meanwhile, authorities have ordered the evacuation of outdoor campsites and arranged temporary accommodation for tourists. In addition, the military has also been deployed at various places on the island.
The Ministry of Women, Childhood and Community Wellbeing Development supports the Palliative Care Services Initiative and will help to contribute funds to non-governmental organizations, NGO, that provide said services. Its Minister, Dato' Sri Fatimah Abdullah, said the state government not only gives emphasis to physical development but also on social welfare development.
She called upon Tvs Large Hospice Palliative Care Services in Kuching to prepare paperwork to upgrade the quality of their services and at the same time to collaborate with the government.
Saya berpendapat bahawa apabila kita menyediakan ekosistem untuk menghadapi iaitu an aged nation, ianya mestilah holistik sifatnya. Bukan saja perlu melihat misalnya dari segi finance, dari kedudukan ekonomi. Kita juga perlu melihat dari segi misalnya tempat tinggal, ekonomi, ada duit kan tak pakai beli ubat, the finance situation, rumah, dan satu lagi ialah jagaan ini perlu juga dilihat. So ianya perlu dilihat secara holistik. Dan part of that holistic ecosystem itu adalah palliative care. Saya melihat penting. Palliative care bagi saya juga penting. Sama seperti yang kita sekarang sediakan juga, iaitu rumah misalnya untuk yang tiada waris, rumah seri kenangan. Itu juga penting supaya mereka tidak ada warga emas kita yang tiada waris ini hidup merempat. Tapi ada disediakan tempat tinggal mereka, diberi jagaan yang baik. So semua ini sangat penting. And to me, we want to bring in the palliative care ini sebagai sebahagian daripada ekosistem yang perlu kita sediakan.
Fatimah also called for palliative services to be developed all over in Sarawak and not only in Kuching. There are 5 NGOs that offer local palliative care, namely National Cancer Association NCS, Sarawak Branch, Miri Palliative Care Association, Kuching Life Care, Tvs Large Hospice Kuching, and Sarawak Hospice Association.
Agrobank has proposed to improve the agricultural sector in the state in an effort to enhance cooperation with Sarawak. Its Chief Executive Officer, Tengku Ahmad Badli Shah Raja Hussein, said the proposal has the full support of the Sarawak government. He was speaking after a courtesy visit to the Premier of Sarawak, Datuk Patinggi Tan Sri Abang Johari Tun Openg, to distribute zakat worth RM275,000 on Friday.
Menyerahkan zakat Agrobank kepada negeri Sarawak, diperuntukkan kepada negeri Sarawak berjumlah 275,000 dan kami juga membincangkan pelbagai kolaborasi di antara Agrobank dengan kerajaan negeri Sarawak, terutamanya berkenaan dengan pertanian dan bagaimana usaha sama dapat dijalankan antara kerajaan Sarawak dengan pihak Agrobank melalui beberapa agensi di bawah government Sarawak seperti Selcom, Sakra, Sarawak Land Development Berhad dan Mutiar dan beberapa agensi lain.
Meanwhile, he said the 17th Agrobank branch will be open in Sarawak towards the end of this year. Now, the organization of the Creative and Innovative Group KIK Convention among government departments and agencies has proven to be the right step in improving the efficiency and effectiveness of the government's service delivery.
Deputy Premier of Sarawak, Dato' Amar Awang Tengah Ali Hassan, said through the text speech read by the Natural Resources and Urban Development Ministry Permanent Secretary, Dato' Zaidi Mahdi, on Thursday, August 18th.
Inovasi ini juga merupakan salah satu agenda yang telah digariskan di bawah PCDS, Post-COVID Development Strategy 2030, di mana antara hasil utama inovasi yang disasarkan adalah pertama, increase R&D expenditure as percentage of GDP. Yang kedua, double the number of patents filed and approved. 3,000 full-time equivalent researcher in R&D per million people in Sarawak. Dan yang keempat, 1,000 high technology startup and proof of concept (POC) projects successfully launched via Innovation Hub commercialized.
Adding further, he said that it is also driven by data and innovation in 2030, in which people will enjoy economic prosperity, social inclusion, and environmental sustainability. The convention, which commenced on August 16 and ended on August 18th, is an initiative aimed at boosting performance and improving efficiency and effectiveness in the delivery of the government services. The government had previously recognized the initiative produced by civil servants, as well as provided various awards for the production of new innovative and creative ideas through the Sarawak Civil Service Innovation Convention Awards. The convention involved 24 KIK groups from departments and agencies under the supervision of the ministry, namely 5 KIK groups from the Forestry Department, 13 KIK groups from the Land and Survey Department, 3 KIK groups from the Sarawak Forestry Corporation (SFC), and 3 KIK groups from Sarawak Timber Industry Development Corporation (STIDC).
A 42-year-old man was arrested by the Cebu Region 5 Marine Police team on suspicion of diesel fuel embezzlement activities involving a total of 170,000 ringgit in an contraband operation which was conducted at around 9 a.m. at Jalan Kapur in Cebu.
Cebu District Police Chief Assistant Commissioner Zulkifli Suhaili said, upon further inspection, the team discovered a 4-wheel drive, 12 blue plastic barrels suspected to contain diesel oil, 5 empty blue plastic barrels, and 3 white plastic barrels containing diesel oil with a total capacity of 21,000 litres. In addition, the man had also failed to produce any valid documents to the ownership of the control items. As such, the items were seized with an estimate value of 173,450 ringgit. And the man and the seized items were then handed over to the investigating officer for the Ministry of Domestic Trade and Consumer Affairs, KPDN HEP Cebu Division, for investigation and further action. The case is being investigated under the Control of Supplies Act 1961.
Coming up right after the break, GPS aims for political stability. Tips from an economist on financial security blanket. Right here on TVS Nightline, stay tuned. Thank you for staying with us. Now, Gabungan Party Sarawak GPS always prioritizes political stability rather than personal gain in the efforts of the country's economic plans. GPS Chief Whip Dr. Sri Fadila Yusuf recommends that all political parties and politicians focus solely on rebuilding the country in the near future.
Tapi yang lebih utama sekarang ni macam mana kita nak bina semula negara kita supaya kedudukan ekonomi kita bertambah kukuh, rakyat mendapat pekerjaan, ekonomi berkembang Dan ini akan hanya dapat dicapai kalau kita mendapat kestabilan politik. Dan kestabilan politik ini menuntut semua parti untuk memfokuskan kepada mewujudkan perpaduan dan kestabilan bukan saja di kalangan rakyat kita tapi lebih utama di kalangan orang-orang politik itu sendiri.
Fadila, who is also the Senior Minister of Public Works, said the country is faced with various challenges, especially the COVID-19 pandemic. However, with the existing performance of the government, the challenges in facing the COVID-19 pandemic have been successfully handled, especially in terms of health, economic stability, and the reopening of the borders. He was speaking at a media conference in conjunction with the FT Roadpedia tour of the South Zone in Kota Tinggi, Johor on Friday. Dato' Sri Fadila Yusuf disclosed that the party Pusaka Bumiputra Bersatu or PBB is open for any member of parliament in the state who wishes to join the party. The senior vice president of the PBB said, however, the matter still needs to be discussed with the component parties in GPS to get a joint agreement.
Kita terbuka tapi ada prinsip di kalangan komponen-komponen parti GPS. Ya, apapun kita kena bincang dengan komponen parti GPS, bukan PBB saja. Sebab kita sebuah komponen. Jadi kita kena jagalah.
When asked to comment on the allegation that a few more Sarawak opposition members of parliament will join the PBB, Fadila did not deny that it will happen. Member of Parliament for Puncak Borneo, Dato' Willie Mongin, legitimately joined the PBB. Willie Mongin, who is also the Deputy Minister of Plantation, Industries and Commodities, had previously won the Puncak Borneo parliamentary seat as the candidate for Parti Keadilan Rakyat PKR in the 14th general election. However, he left PKR through the Sheraton step at the beginning of 2020 and was with Parti Pribumi Bersatu Malaysia or Bersatu. Last June, he claimed that he never joined Bersatu, but was only placed within the party to support the Perikatan national government. It is undeniable that the increase in the cost of living and inflation cause worry among citizens of Malaysia. However, Prime Minister Dato' Sri Ismail Sabri Yaakob has given an assurance that the government will continue to implement various measures to address this matter.
Kerajaan sentiasa berusaha memastikan keluarga Malaysia khalis cabaran.
As such, various short, medium and long-term measures will be implemented by the government in an effort to restore the country's economy.
Hasilnya, hari ini kita dapat melihat ekonomi negara kita merupakan yang terbaik di Asia Tenggara dengan pertumbuhan keluaran dalam negara kasar ataupun KDNK sebanyak 8.9% bagi suku tahun kedua ini.
Adding to that, he said that Malaysia is among the countries that recorded the lowest inflation rate in Southeast Asia at 3.4%. While the rise in prices of goods and services continues, the more painful part for consumers is we don't know exactly how long it will last or just how we should react financially. For the everyday consumer, increased prices may mean limiting any splurge spending to avoid a big hit to your wallet. But for those who invest, you're likely more concerned about your money losing value in the market. Now, in order to protect the buying power of your long-term savings, experts and economists recommend investing in a diversified set of funds to help your money grow over time. We had the opportunity to speak with an economist cum research director attached with Bait Al-Amanah, Benedict Wirasina, on his tips in protecting savings and retirement funds against inflation. Let's take a look.
First of all, most importantly, equip yourself as much as possible. Read up as much as possible how to make the most of your savings. Second, diversify your investment portfolio. Invest in stocks, invest in bonds, invest in equities. This will help with the returns, with the rate of returns to address or to cancel out the rise in prices and the decreasing value of your money if you just hold cash. Third, and this has been said a lot, invest in real estate. You know, historically, real estate fares well during periods of increased inflation. It rises also as inflation happens. And so this is one way to secure your savings. Invest in real estate, and not just real estate for that matter. Invest in a home that you stay in, and it will appreciate in the near future. Of course, it goes without saying you have to invest in the right location, right home, right, and with a good resale value also, definitely. Finally, I want to talk about protecting your retirement. Really prioritize future security over present consumption. What we have seen in the last 2 years is with the 4 rounds of EPF withdrawal schemes, a lot of members of EPF members have actually withdrawn quite substantial amount of money. And the latest data as of end of June is that 52% of the total of 12.78 EPF members, or about 6.2 million members, have less than 10,000 ringgit in their EPF savings. Now, how are they going to retire comfortably? That's my question. Initially, it was said that you need at least 240,000 to retire comfortably.
According to Benedict, the Employee Provident Fund EPF has several advantages for the employees and employer. However, there are some disadvantages to withdrawing too prematurely. He said for those who have withdrawn their funds, they should try to replenish them as soon as possible.
Now, this does not even factor those who do not have EPF accounts, those who do not have formal retirement savings, for example. What about those informal workers? I think there's something that will be a huge burden on our economy, on our society in the long run when it comes to retirement savings. Will our population be able to retire comfortably in the near future? So to address that, really, as much as possible, try your best to replenish your EPF savings. If you don't have an EPF account, look for a formal retirement fund. Look for a retirement fund where you can invest as much money into your retirement to protect your future comfort when you retire, so that you can able to retire comfortably, or what we call a persaraan bermaruah. I think it's something that's very important.
Welcome back. UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres is in discussion with the presidents of Turkey and Ukraine to end war started by Russia and to secure Europe's largest nuclear power station. Guterres also told reporters that he was extremely worried about the circumstances at the nuclear plant and advised for military equipment and personnel to withdraw.
Russia had captured the nuclear plant soon after the February 24th invasion and said they could shut the plant down, but Ukraine warned that it would increase the danger of a nuclear fallout. Russia also responded to international calls for the plant to be a demilitarized zone as unacceptable as Ukrainian engineers are still working at the plant despite the Russian occupation. Recent images taken showed that the area around the plant is full of scorch marks. The nuclear station is on the Russian-controlled south bank of a reservoir in Enerhodar, while Ukrainian forces hold the north bank. It was built in 1980, and it is one of the biggest nuclear power plants in the world.
Now wrapping up the Nightline, a Russian rapper has reopened a chain of coffee shops in Moscow, formerly owned by Starbucks Corporation after the company's departure from the country, and called it Star Coffee. The rapper Timothy, alongside the co-owner Anton Pinsky, represented the new brand and logo before shops opened on Friday.
Это вам так кажется, а если два вместе взять, ни один элемент, кроме круга, не совпадает с другим элементом, который там был.
Общий элемент логотипа действительно это круг. Вот, у нас царевна-лебедь, русская красавица в традиционном российском кокошнике.
Starbucks refused to comment on the similarity of the logo and name, but according to an earlier statement, it said the company had made the decision to exit and no longer had a brand presence in Russia. One of the co-owners said that they had to find new suppliers, but they fortunately encountered no problems in doing so.
Соответственно, просто нашли других поставщиков, нашли правильные обжарочные, правильные бариста, это все правильно замиксовали, и мы получили тот продукт, который мы считаем будет конкурентоспособным.
Timothy, one of Russia's best-known rappers, also co-founded the Black Star Burger chain in Russia, which sells his own burger called the Timothy Burger. He also said they were interested in more acquisitions, but gave no further details. See the world closer with TVS, as we bring you the latest news updates both locally and internationally by heading on to our official website at TVSTVMY or follow us on our social media platform. Those were the updates on TVS Nightline. I'm Handigui. Thank you for watching.